Hey everybody, this is Texas Danny, and I kind of just off the cuff want to talk tonight. Uh, I haven't been doing much of anything as far as the channel goes, and the channel is called Mandela Effect Quantum Stuff Texas Danny, right? And it's of course my first name and where I'm located, and the relevant subjects are the subject matter, which is the Mandela effect or the quantum effect. A lot of us prefer that kind of title because the Mandela effect, though apt in some aspects of describing the phenomenon, isn't fully convey, except that it's kind of been a buzzword, right? The quantum effect is kind of more relevant to the situation because it's really the tip of the iceberg in describing what the actual situation is for many of us all over Earth, and we all are spread out all over Earth, right? We basically found each other, basically, and now some of us have, of course, succumbed to nature one way or the other, and that has we've some of us have become deceased. Uh, in fact, they may have quantum jumped to another reality, right? And that they just disembarked from this reality. Uh, and though they're deceased here, they're still alive in another reality, right? At least unto themselves. And that is part of the quantum effect. Is that a lot of us who have come through the you might say the shifts or the phases or the timelines or whatever else like that, have found that, for example, celebrities and that kind of people that we have known who have become deceased in the past, that we didn't necessarily red letter date that their demise, right? We just know that they were gone. To give you an example, at least as somebody I understand is back alive again now, I'll give a couple of examples right here. Leon Panetta, right, which was a government official. He held certain prestigious, important posts in the American government, right? But I recall in one of the timelines, one of the that I've shifted to or passed through, uh, where I watched news shows where he, was deceased, where they talked about his legacy and that kind of thing like that. Another one would be Judge Judy. I remember looking on, for example, this device, the smartphone, right? Back in about 2018, when they talked about her net worth at passing, which was about $42 million or something like that, back in 2018. And she's also known in the quantum effect because uh, she was described as not having a gavel, right? Or before in uh, known interactions with people observing her, she had a gavel in her courtroom. She'd bang the gavel, and that kind of thing like that. And then there came a period of sans a gavel, right? No gavel in the proceedings. Um, but Judge Judy was somebody that I happened to look at, and it was just once. But I watched the entire spiel on the smartphone about how she's passed away and is now gone. Right now, I didn't red letter date, and that's the funny thing. Now, there's some red letter dates that you unequivocally remember without a doubt, and that's one would be JFK's assassination date, which was here in the city that I'm in November 22nd, 1963, that I remember from my former past reality, where I originated from. I, as a child, as a toddler, amazingly went to the San Diego Zoo with my mother and her boyfriend. And strangely, for being just a 4-year-old, a toddler, I could read. And I was very upset when I arrived at the San Diego Zoo and found out that I was going to have to be in a stroller. And I threw a tantrum on that day that Kennedy was assassinated with. I had little white booties, little cheap white booties, and I remember pounding them on the ground because I wanted to walk. I was a big boy. I didn't want to have to take the stroller. But inadvertently, I had to take the stroller that day. But the point is back to when certain people pass away, we don't always remember when they passed. Or we might generally remember the time with not exactly the date. For example, Michael Jackson, June of 2015, okay? But I don't remember what day in June of 2015, but it was around then that he passed away. Yeah, and it was other things that were strange. He also passed away the same day as Farrah Fawcett died. Farrah Fawcett, the actress, the famous model actress. She also died on the same day, Farrah Fawcett. And Michael Jackson died in June of 2015. Now, that is curious because I myself may have met my demise one way or the other around generally that same time. Maybe roughly that same time, maybe later. The date that I do remember was just days after my birthday in June 2016. That's when I recognized that I quantum jumped into another reality, and I knew it without a doubt. I knew that I was no longer in my original reality. I was in another reality, and that was curiously after watching something the night before on the smartphone with someone who is deceased now here in this reality, who may still exist in his own reality, but he's departed for here, and that he was known as Photo Helix on the YouTube channels. And he was like a former preacher and with some controversy to his past. And he talked candidly about that, at least on one episode, which I watched. But he also had a channel for a while, and he spoke on the Mandela effect or the quantum effect quite a few times. Now, it's a funny thing. Let's say when I talk about my own person being deceased, I have to consider that it's very, very possible that I am deceased. Because one, I'm not in my original body that I was born in. This is not that same body. I'm in a different body. The anatomy is different. As you can see, if you notice, I'm in my mid-60s. And I've got a bit of a double chin, as you can notice. I had even a more pronounced double chin in the old reality because our skeletons were different. The skull was different. We didn't have side indentations in the skulls, and we didn't have bone behind the eyes. We had kind of an open, hard nitrous socket without any bone behind there. Now it's like a kind of a cone, a funnel cone, a bone socket back there, and you have indentations, and the cheeks come out further here in this reality, and there's an steep angular thrust out from the jawbone, right? Plus, you have in this reality, you have a brainstem going up into your skull. We did not have that. We had a neck bone. We had a neck bone, and it connected in the back. We did not have a brainstem in our throat. We, uh, 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 we had a neck bone, which attached our skull. And curiously, part of the thing is when we were unearthed from mass graves, say they'd found people in ancient Britain, from ancient Britain, who'd got unearthed in modern Britain, and that they found people who'd been buried, say, for 1,500 years or something like that, or whatever, or going back to the Roman times when Rome had occupied England, right? And that was that they would, if our skeletons were discovered, about half the time the skull would still be attached to the main skeleton or not. It would because we didn't have a brain stem, our skull would fall off. Okay, it would be there, of course, with the skeleton, and sometimes it was still attached to the neck bone. But half the time it wasn't either, right? And there would be the skull there, right there with the skeleton, right? And you knew what had happened. But I'm reflecting on, see, that's part of the thing for those of us who are aware of our situation as we exist here in another reality. We remember our past. And for example, it was just this last month, Halloween. And I don't know how many Halloweens I used to as a kid and as an adult see our old version of our skeleton and knew what it would look like, right? This version of the skeleton is a bit more robust. The rib cage is different. A brain stem going up into the skull, of course, being different. And I could see that difference when I look and I observe human beings, right? Amazingly, like skin, eyes, which look a little different. The eyes look a little bit better, just a tad better here. In the same ballpark, but just maybe a tad on the scale, a little bit better eyes. And the hair, and I even have the same kind of what you call Dutch beard that I had back then. I've still got that same here. So it's amazing in a way. The DNA kind of corresponds. It matches, but it's also changed, of course, because things are different. The kidneys are in a different spot here. The internal organs are a little bit different. The heart is. The heart used to be off slightly to the left. It's in the middle here. But in a way, I'm digressing. I'm going over some territory that's been covered again and again by some of us, especially earlier in the time period around 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. A few years after that, primarily that this all happened. Some say that it happened for them a little earlier, around 2015, and me, it was 2016. And even other people, one lady who has passed on, who again may be in her own reality still, is Rain on the Plains, and she was from out of Colorado. She was from somewhere up in Colorado, and she had living children here, but she had talked about her experiencing some differences from earlier in history some things with geography, which she asked me one time on her channel, was the location in Dallas different, which is curious than it is here because I see earth changes. Of course, the earth changes are drastic from my original earth because my original earth was bigger than this earth is now, right? And I've, since 2016, been watching the earth changes happen over time, right? Some amazingly quick. A person shouldn't have seen the changes I've seen demonstrated on Google Earth and also in hard print sources, which I've also seen those changes there also changed. Besides the media format that you see on Google Earth, is the electronic, signature, screen signature that you've seen that, which you could understand that. Well, you could say, well, that could change. They have a certain format that they use. I'm sure for Google Earth that they maybe yearly, annually, or every 2 or 3 years redo the Earth over and over again. There's a certain time period that they do it. But she had asked me, was Dallas in the center of Texas, right? And what's amazing is I did have some kind of a small memory of those novelty maps and that kind of thing that you used to see that you would get from as state souvenirs or something like that, which I remember earlier as a kid, where Dallas was displayed in the middle of the state, or say closer to, much closer to say where San Antonio is now than where it is now, not far from the Oklahoma state line. But throughout my life, I have always recalled Dallas being more or less right where it is and stuff like that. It's being the city I was born in, but I was raised in Los Angeles, California, and I grew up in California up until the mid '70s, where I moved up to Oregon and Washington, the Pacific Northwest, where I stayed there until I went in the late '70s to the U.S. military. Had a few years in the military, then came back for another couple of years, and moved out in the mid 1980s for Texas. And of course, so I'm sorry, I have to put a. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry again. I think we had an interruption there, which may be by circumstances an NPC, maybe, or an actual living soul. It's hard to say here because a lot of us who have inhabited this place since about 2015 or 2016, this reality or this earth, whatever it is, have noticed that there's something amiss or something very strange about the reality that we are inhabiting. That it's artificial, fake, made up, you name it. You come up with whatever kind of description you want to use, but the place has got unique characters in it, right? And sometimes their behavior is very predictable. Sometimes it's not. But it's part of the situation of being here. Of course, I've been thrown off my train of thought of what I was thinking about now. And that may be a factor. Because the place wants its narrative to be functioned. It wants its narrative to keep on going, to keep on working, to reinforce itself. Its narrative is its drive function. And I've just noticed that about this place, that because if you think about it, we have been on uh, the media. Excuse me, the vehicle coming up here. The media several times over the years, right? Talking with each other, corresponding with each other, making comments. I have made comments on some of the scientific situations which referenced the Mandela effect, and watched as strangely zero comments would be on either of my comments that I left. If I left a couple of detailed commentaries on the video, and I referenced us in the Mandela effect, right? I would look up on the numbers for the quotes or other comments on that same channel, and see a number like 176, or another number 193, or another one number for 41, or another for 271, or 18 for another, and a lot of a variety, right, of numerical responses to other comments, right? Zero for mine. Zippo. Nothing, right? Which I kind of, like I said, a lot of us have been kind of watching and studying this place and seeing how it relates to us, because it is indeed strange. There's a lot of theories about the situation that we're in. That the place is something mythological, or computerized, or an afterlife kind of a situation, or who knows. There's a large variety, a large possibility of reasons that this has happened. But I have also been watching and studying the Earth movements. Of course, in life, one shouldn't watch maps change. And such a thing shouldn't happen in a human lifetime. They should not see maps change in a human lifetime. And since 2016, I have been watching regularly as the Earth apparently is becoming smaller. The Earth is becoming smaller and smaller. And I've watched as the continents have changed shape somewhat. Mexico, the United States mostly has kept its basic shape, but not exactly, and has become smaller as well, and so has Canada. And there's been things also observed by other people. Life Matrix from California, he observed the changes to the Greenland, changes of the location in Greenland. And yes, indeed, Greenland's in a different location by approximately its entire length further north than it normally would have been before. We had, on the Earth I inhabited, we had what we called Arctica, which was our North Pole, which was a hard ice cap, a very large hard ice cap, which covered almost all of the North Pole, large parts of Alaska, large parts of Canada, Norway and Sweden and Finland, northern Russia, and the Arctic. There was no Svalbard. There also, just for note, there was no Andorra. And that's curiously, Andorra is also located as a place where another mythical country, which has been noted, which is called Torrid, which is an annoyance and upsetting for me, because amazingly, in the last few years, right, as much as has been discussed and talked about the quantum effect, Mandela effect, the phenomenon has far outflanked this Man from Torrid thing. It's a far more detailed, far more, and yet the place here acts like it hardly has occurred. Again, that's why I've noticed a constant reinforcement for the narrative here. The narrative is the most important thing this place keeps doing, is it reinforces its own narrative, right? And it does not like when anything or anyone alters that narrative, right? It's like that narrative is an invoked program, kind of laid out over the situation. But we still have had a lot of earth changes taking place. We've had the earth getting smaller, especially recently. Though things had slowed down quite a bit, they still were going on, right? And things that you can note and that you could observe and watch. For example, you could watch how these lines on the maps would change their location in their places, right? Or you could watch when a place changed. For example, the Mediterranean has gotten much smaller from when it started out, especially in my timeline, right? Italy is now... just a sec. Okay, going to try to resume recording again. Again, that's kind of brings up a situation where you wonder what you're facing when that kind of thing happens. When you get interruptions, is a deliberate circumstances. Again, like the place does not like what you're doing, right? And comes up with its control, like a Agent Smith control of somebody, right? And gets them to do something, interrupt you, knock your train of thought off, whatever. But I've just been watching that kind of stuff for a while now, seeing it happen again and again, and wondering what's the deal. And that happens if you're quantum affected. I'd be interested in your comments about if you find that to be the situation where something will come up and knock you off your stride if you think that the place does not like what you're doing. And again, with the comments that I've seen and have made, which never got any kind of response or anything, I'd go back up and find them, see the thing has been like I recorded a year and a half ago, and zero responses, nothing, nobody said a word about it, and that kind of thing like that. And you wonder how common that is. And I wouldn't doubt that we just had a little Agent Smith activate a character that I have to interact with, right? That I have to find out something from, or that is designed to bring up a situation which interferes with the task that you're trying to do, especially when you're trying to work the situation with the Mandela effect. And that's kind of frustrated me and caused me to look at things and say, what is the nature of this reality? I mean, because it seems to have a definite desire for a pre-formatted narrative, right? Like it has a narrative, and but also I'm seeing, when I see the things like the Earth getting smaller, right? And I see that as a kind of a program reduction function, right? Like a deliberate slowing down the program or closing the program, something like that. Because then you get situations where you have something come up. It always does. It comes up, and I wouldn't doubt in the case of some people, For example, like the person that I mentioned before, Rain on the Plains, the lady, nice lady who's probably deceased in this reality now, or maybe just quantum jumped and went ahead to another reality, that she had something. I happened to be on her show a couple of times. She had a channel, and I was interacting with her, and I thought she was interacting with an NPC who I felt definitely was there just to stymie her, to run interference. That was my honest impression. It may have not been so, because sometimes we just have these human interactions which happened all the time, which go on. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing an apparel jacket, a uniform jacket which has a patch on it of which shows part of the Earth, right? That patch has, from time to time, updated and changed, showing different parts of the globe actually showing on the patch. So physical materials also get updated and changed. If you go and you look on my channel and some of the earlier updated maps and so forth like that, they also will sometimes change. They'll update to the modern form, the modern version that we have now. For example, my mentioning the Mediterranean and that kind of thing like that. The size of the Earth, it seems to also possibly be mechanically achieved, okay? I do believe I see evidence underneath the Earth's crust, the subaquatic, the subterranean, that kind of thing like that. When it's displayed and shown that there's evidence of there's evidence of somebody going by again. I guess the same aforementioned possible NPC, possible human being. I don't know, right? And circumstances can be the circumstances, but sometimes they're just awfully convenient. But again, my training, I apologize, my train of thought has been kind of knocked off. But again, just as like on hard objects like the apparel patch, which shows the map changing, and also I've seen like an Earth on a garbage truck. I've watched that, and I said I've seen a couple of different versions on the thing, right? And the Earth keeps getting updated, so it's by way of information, right? Information also changes, and that gets me. How is the information getting to me? Am I immersed in something? Is my actual real avatar somewhere else? My real person, my real being. For example, am I in some kind of cryogenic freeze? Or am I part of the Matrix program, right? And for whatever reason, I'm malfunctioning or something like that with the information that I get with the quantum effect. We are still changing. We still have the borders of countries. Their orientation is different. For example, Austria used to run more like an east and west on the area in Europe that it was, and the southeastern part of their border has gone further southeast, just like a painting on a wall that topples over if it's been nudged or something like that and moved out of a place. That's the same thing that's happened to Italy. Spain is much more closer now to North Africa. Tunisia has gone far out further towards Sicily. Sicily is also moved up much further up towards the Italian boot. The whole of the earth has changes. The Gulf of Mexico is smaller. The Yucatan Peninsula is smaller and moved over further, right? So we show progress towards change, right? Okay, but is that change, are we getting the visual representation of that change? It's actually happening, or what's the deal? That is still happening. And I'm wondering about that, okay? Is that something like a program change that's happening irregardless of what we do, or is it a physical, mechanical change done on the earth, right? Subterranean, subaquatic. Also, for things involving the moon moving around and that kind of thing like that. Plus, we have several, let us think, for example, we have several craft in the atmosphere that have stationary positions that they occupy, and also vast, quick moving routes that they also traverse. So this is going on quite a bit all around us, okay? And this is one of the things I believe that the residents do not notice the changes day to day. They do not. It does not occur to them when they come out and they observe a border, or they observe an area that they're familiar with, right? It's a brand new world every day. They're seeing something different every day, but to them, it's the same exact thing. Nothing has changed, right? It's expected. It's normal. It's routine, even though it's physically changed. I should also note that the city I'm in, okay, has had, like a lot of cities, will have a major amount of work to do that is designed to be, say, a 4 or 5 year project, right? That is supposed to be busy there in that area for 4 or 5 years until the program is done and the project's done, right? But we've had road construction that is just eternal. It goes on and on and on. And now I understand also that there are financial aspects that are unique to government. For example, like sometimes it behooves a government to, or anybody who's working a road program, a road project, to lengthen the thing out, to wait because they get more dollars or something like that, to continue to do more work. But that continues to happen and go on. But the road projects here have just been going on and on and on, and I believe it's deliberate to hide, to disguise the changes that are taking place in the environment and that kind of thing like that are happening here. There's a tremendous amount of changes going on. They take place far past what a human lifetime should do, and they keep on going. I shouldn't have seen, if I lived 50 lifetimes, I shouldn't have seen the changes that take place. And we know that changes take place to the map. For example, Mount St. Helens is back in the news again. That's a mountain in the American Pacific Northwest, a volcano that blew in May of 1980. Coincidentally, on my father's birthday of 1980, May 18th. And that is active again, right? But I also think that's part of the whole structure. See, all of our land masses are moving. They're Gulf of California is widening out, separating. Baja California is changing. The West coast of Mexico is changing. The west coast of the United States is changing, such as also Canada as well. There's nowhere on Earth that isn't active to some degree in changing and alterations. We continue to have a tremendous amount going on now still, and I think it partly involves us moving in time as well. I think this particular Earth, or the Earths caught up into the sequences, are moving back in time, and I think that's happening in quite a bit all over the Earth. A lot of the areas of the Earth are moving back in time. Back to the future, folks. That's where we're going. This is Danny out.